Alright. Be excited, mechanic. We have Mordos as our next author. And why I'm saying be excited, because the last one we have from Mordos you love very much. That was the IKEA one. That was 3008. That's the last one we read from this author. And I can already see that Mordos has written quite a lot in series 4, and I believe even a lot in series 5. So we're going to get to see their name pop up a lot more. Series 3, there were like 1, and that was like Extreme Videos, which was also a lot of fun time. But yes, series 4 and 5 we will see the name pop up a lot more times. So Mordos, you wrote Evolution in a Bottle. Alright, here we go. Euclid. Special containment procedures. SCP-3044 is to be contained at Site 234 in the center of a hermetically sealed chamber of at least 4x4x3 meters, accessible only via a double airlock system. Each section of the airlock must be capable of running a full biological decontamination protocol. Access to the chamber is to be granted only in the 6 hours following a flash event, and only if the previous instance of -1 was successfully contained within SCP-3044. All maintenance must be performed during this time period, and no access to be granted outside of this time frame for any reason. Due to this relatively small time frame, all maintenance personnel and other staff requiring access should be pre-approved by the senior researcher. A robotic arm capable of remotely placing a new cap on SCP-3044 must be fixed to the ceiling and must be used to reseal SCP-3044 following a flash event if required. Ultra-high-speed cameras capable of at least 100 times zoom must be positioned in the containment chamber to allow for 100% visibility of SCP-3044's contents. The lens on that thing. Description. SCP-3044 is a clear glass bottle with a spherical body measuring 1.2 meters in diameter, tapering up to a neck and mouth 28 centimeters in diameter. That's a big bottle. With a full height of 1.7 meters. SCP-3044 contains a microenvironment typically unique from anything found on Earth. These environments are I cannot look at that word anymore. That word is now ruined for me. It's just like every time I see the word unique, I just have mechanics like head in my. I don't know how it looks like, but I'm just imagining like it's some like face looking at me like with a big ass smile. These environments are designated -1. At random intervals, SCP-3044 will emit a bright flash of light, henceforth referred to as a flash event, which lasts for less than final flash! Ranging from between 10 hours to over 6 months, with an average of 1.4 months. During the flash event, the current instance of -1 is destroyed and replaced with a new instance. Damn! The flash is so strong it destroys the whole bottle? Well, -1 is destroyed, which is the environment. So it's like, it destroys the interior environment and then just rebuilds from the beginning. And replacement, yeah. This new instance will begin as a layer of soil with an atmosphere and liquids made up of seemingly random combination of different elements. It almost is like you know the word seed, when you use the word seed for like Minecraft, for Binding of Isaac, because it means like it randomizes whatever the layout will be. That's what I imagine here almost. It's like a new seed every single time when it resets. Shortly after the flash event, signs of life will begin to appear within SCP-3044. Typically 16 to 24 hours, though occasionally as early as 8 hours. This life typically starts as bacteria or some other microscopic organism whose presence can be inferred from visible changes in the composition of the environment. It then rapidly develops into plant and animal life, though many variations on this have been observed. Time within SCP-3044 flows at a highly accelerated rate, though this acceleration does not solely account for the speed at which life develops, suggesting some form of guided or controlled evolution. These factors make observation with the naked eye difficult. SCP-3044 itself appears to be made up of non-anomalous borosilicate glass and is therefore easily broken. The original stopper found with SCP-3044 was replaced with a custom one, allowing for easy sampling of the contents without risk of contamination in either direction. This sampling is to be done immediately after each flash event. Addendum 1. Following Incident 1, containment procedure have been upgraded and a request to upgrade classification from Safe to Euclid has been submitted. See incident report for details. Note, upgrade to Euclid class confirmed. Incident 1, final report. On 1990, SCP-3044 suddenly and unexpectedly shattered the whole, now the glass, not the environment, while researcher T was in the containment chamber. The current instance of -1 in this case, consisting of a large variety of fungal spores, oh shit, The Last of Us, was released into the air and inhaled by researcher T. This rapidly resulted in severe seizures and then death. Over the course of the next hour, researcher T's body, clothing, and all non-metallic objects on the person were completely consumed by the fungus. I'm not wrong by saying The Last of Us. But we also had another SCP that made you into like a that made mushrooms grow on you. The reason for SCP-3044's shattering is believed to be high pressure caused by the buildup of spores within. The sealed containment chamber held, but the risk of contamination made entrance impossible. Over the course of the following 9 days, a fungus was observed covering and consuming every surface of containment chamber, all by a much slower rate than it consumed researcher T, at which point a flash event occurred despite the damage to SCP-3044. Following the flash event, SCP-3044 was found intact and in its original location, although the stopper was missing and a new instance of -1 occupied the entire containment chamber. The previous instance of -1 had been completely removed, though damage to the containment chamber was also still present. Okay, so you literally also reset that fully. Gotcha. Personnel wearing level 4 biohazard suits entered the chamber and inserted a new stopper and attempted to retrieve any remains or equipment left by researcher T, though none were found. The new instance of -1 lasted for 4 days and 13 hours, during which time an ecosystem vastly more complicated than it usually created by SCP-3044 emerged, until the flash event occurred and the new instance of -1 was once again contained within SCP-3044. The new stopper having remained in place. Gotcha. So even if something came out of it, if you have to stop on top of it and the flash event happens, what is outside the ball will still disappear. Following this incident, SCP-3044 was moved to a more secure biological containment facility. Experiment log A. The following incident, -1 experimentation began to determine the exact nature of SCP-3044's flash events. So we have experiment 1, a length of iron 50 centimeters long was placed against the body of SCP-3044 and left until the next flash event, baseline expectation test. Result, no effect. Following the flash event, the iron rod was unchanged. Experiment 2, following a flash event, the stopper was removed from SCP-3044. The primarily aluminium-based ecosystem began to grow out towards the mouth of SCP-3044, starting with flying organisms and followed later by vine-like tendrils growing out and over the outside of SCP-3044. Following the flash event, the new instance of -1 filled the entire containment chamber. The ground was covered in soil with multiple large lakes of an unknown yellow-brown liquid, and the air within the chamber was replaced by a cloudy green gas. As per containment procedure, access to take samples of this environment was not granted. Experiment 3. Directly following the previous experiment, the stopper was left out of SCP-3044. Man, you guys are brave. Like, what if you have some sort of radioactive shit that can burn through walls in a manner consistent with the effects observed during Incident 1? The effect of SCP-3044 encompassed the entire chamber. Following the next flash event, the new instance of -1 also encompassed the entire chamber. Note by Dr. Both instances in which -1 filled the entire containment chamber developed a far greater variety of life forms and even began forming some basic weather patterns in the atmosphere. Once these experiments are concluded, consideration should be given to leaving the stopper out of SCP-3044 long term. Experiment 4. Directly following the flash event in the previous experiment, the stopper was replaced in SCP-3044. Yeah, you fucking better. Evolution within -1 proceeded as expected, although... Oh, wait a minute. I realized the music might have been a bit loud. Evolution with -1 experiment proceeded as expected, although because the ecosystem within SCP-3044 was now isolated from that filing, the containment chamber evolution resulted in markedly different varieties of life forms. Following the flash event, -1. There we go. -1 was once again contained entirely within SCP-3044, with all material, including the atmosphere outside of SCP-3044, removed. Note by Dr. Following this experiment, I decided to check the samples we had taken from previous instances of -1 and stored. All of them were present and accounted for. It is unknown why they didn't vanish with the rest of the environment, when direct connection to the inside of SCP-3044 is obviously not required. A long base factor, perhaps? Experiment 5. SCP-3044 was temporarily transferred to an on-site long-range testing chamber, with samples taken from the current instance of -1 placed at 100 meters intervals through the length of the chamber. An environmentally sealed room measuring 1.2 kilometers on its longest axis, used when testing over a significant distance, is required in a controlled environment. Result: all of the samples disappeared following the flash event. Note by Dr. Okay, not a range-based effect, line of sight perhaps. SCP-3044 was sealed with, which suggests something a little more complex. I wonder if you like cover the bottle in cloth prevents any light coming through, if that would stop the effect. Experiment 6. As in Experiment 5, the stopper was removed from SCP-3044. Following the flash event, a series of random objects were placed at varying distances along the test chamber and the stopper was replaced. The new instance of -1 filled the entire length of the long-range testing chamber. In order to ensure containment, regular thermal decontamination protocols were run throughout the chamber until the next flash event, at which point the new instance was fully contained within SCP-3044. The previous instance was completely destroyed, leaving behind the objects placed in the chamber. You better not have the bottle outside and have the stopper removed, because I think like the entire Earth will change. Summary from Dr. is the full extent of the range of effect on SCP-3044 that we can safely test. But there's no reason to assume it can't go much further. If nothing else, this has highlighted the importance of maintaining proper containment on SCP-3044. If a flash event occurred in an uncontained environment while the stopper was removed, there's no telling what damage it would do. Yeah, exactly. Replacing a non-trivial chunk of Earth's surface with some random alien landscape would be the best case scenario. I'm suggesting that SCP-3044 be contained away from any other objects that are likely to destructively break in containment. SCP-3044 itself isn't too difficult to contain. A sealed room seems like it will do the job, but it would only take the smallest amount of bad timing to end in disaster. Then we have an observation log. Observation log 1. There's a lot happening in this one, eh? Note: following are notable excerpts from the observation log. For access to the full log, contact senior researcher. The observation log was started during instance 1-003. After the constantly cycling nature of SCP-3044 became apparent, observations largely transcribed from viewings of recordings due to the difficulties of observing with the naked eye caused by the time accelerating effect within SCP-3044. So -1 unknown. Instance of -1 present on arrival at site. Protocols for retrieving chemical samples not yet in place. Observation. Primary features include a forest of various species of giant fungus. Visual analysis shows at least 17 distinct species and a species of flying reptiles with 6 wings. This instance of -1 lasted for 2 hours after arrival at site before a flash event resulting in a lack of visual documentation. Atmosphere within SCP-3044 was noted as having a distinct purple tint, theorized to be caused by fungal spores. Subject: -1-5. Soil layer contains high concentration of iron and silicon. Lake of liquid ammonia covers approximately 30% of total surface. Atmosphere primarily argon. Notes: the chemical composition of this instance of -1 is impossible under ordinary circumstances. At the temperature and pressure present within SCP-3044, ammonia would be gas, not a liquid. This suggests a larger scale manipulation of reality within the confines of SCP-3044. In the observation, 18 hours after instantiation, lake began to bubble violently for 54 minutes, releasing more gases into the atmosphere, which testing revealed to be primarily nitrogen and carbon monoxide. 73 hours after the atmosphere stabilized, small creature resembling millipedes with metallic carapaces emerged from the lake, and over the course of 3 weeks evolved into a large variety of creatures resembling insects with thick metallic shells. Of particular note was the lack of plant life in this instance, resulting in a complex and atmosphere completely carnivorous food chain. Addendum: it was later discovered that the sample of liquid ammonia collected from this instance of -1 reverted to its expected gaseous state following the subsequent flash event. Subject -1-76 composition: Earth analogous, though atmosphere contained much higher concentration of oxygen. Notes: observation incomplete. See incident 1 report for detail. Let me see if that's down here somewhere. Okay, no. Maybe it is. Maybe that's like the last one. No, it's not. Okay. Subject -1-151. Composition: primarily carbon, silicon, and iron, notable for lack of any other metal besides iron. Atmosphere: primarily carbon dioxide and oxygen. Lake of pure water formed a nearly perfect circle in the center of SCP-3044. Trace quantities of the previously unidentified form of exotic matter were found in both the water and soil. Observations: activity in this instance began quickly, at 8 hours after the flash event, the earliest recorded thus far, with bacterial processes causing notable discoloration of soil layer. A diverse and rapidly changing array of both land and sea life evolved and went extinct over the course of several weeks, before a humanoid and vaguely reptilian species began showing signs of sapience. They quickly became the dominant species within the environment, were observed using increasingly complex tools and building structures of surprising intricacy. They began showing signs of technological development after approximately 15 weeks. This culminated in the construction of a comparatively large tube-like structure attached to the inner surface of SCP-3044, which began cutting a hole through the glass over the course of approximately 1 hour. What? No. This tube ultimately provided to function as an airlock, and for the remainder of -151's existence, the lifeform within could be seen performing exploratory missions into the containment chamber. Due to the recently upgraded containment procedures and the unlikelihood of the lifeforms breaching containment, they were allowed to continue their activity without intervention, though the situation was monitored closely. The hold cut by the lifeforms was gone following the flash event, and collected samples of the exotic matter disappeared from the storage container. Subject -1-193. Composition: besides a small layer of sediment at the bottom, unsampled, though visibly similar to the terrestrial Earth, SCP-3044 was approximately 80% filled with water similar to that found in the Pacific Ocean. This is the first time no land masses have been present within SCP-3044. Observation: after 25 hours of apparent inactivity, this instance rapidly evolved a stunningly diverse array of sea life, approximately 40% of which differed significantly from anything currently found on Earth. After 3 weeks, a small rock-like organism was observed floating close to the surface of the water, and over the course of the following 4 weeks grew to the size of approximately 30 centimeters across, with a 20 centimeter tail mass of rocky shell protruding from the water, essentially forming an island. Over the remaining 5 weeks of this instant's existence, a number of lifeforms evolved on a new island, including several bird-like species. How this island creature was able to grow to such a size with no apparent source of food, or where the material to accommodate its composition came from, is currently unknown. Subject -1-213. Earth analogous with only minor variations. Traces of the exotic matter previously seen in instance 151 were found. Observation: evolution of life within this instance followed a similar pattern to that seen on Earth following the KT extinction event, with mammalian forms roughly analogous to terrestrial life developing relatively quickly. Approximately 2 weeks into the life of this instance, primates resembling early hominids began showing signs of sapience, and approximately 1 week later had developed into a form closely resembling humans. Progress from the use of basic tools to the construction of settlements and development of technology occurred quickly. with notable similarities to Middle Eastern architecture circa 500 BCE in the design of their buildings. Of particular note is that 2 months into the life of this instance, they began showing signs of telekinetic abilities which they used in groups for constructing buildings and monuments. Due to the small scale of the life forms within SCP-3044, determining the exact nature and limits of this telekinetic ability is challenging, but was observed to be increasing in potency over time, with fewer individuals being required to move the same amount of material. A flash event occurred when the civilization within was believed to be on a level roughly analogous to human, circa 1500 CE. Notably, unlike the in instance 151, the civilization in this instance displayed no observable awareness of the interior walls of SCP-3044. As in the previous case, following the flash event, the samples of exotic matter disappeared. -1-247 silicon and carbon-rich soil with high concentration of heavy metals, the dense atmosphere of carbon compounds, and lakes consisting of a variety of hydrocarbon. Observations: evolution occurred in a manner congruent with previous instances of a similar composition, ultimately developing into an array of fungus-based life forms visually similar to a number of Jurassic-era dinosaurs, albeit with tripedal configurations rather than quadrupedal. Of particular note is that this instance is the first to suffer an extinction event. 3 months, 2 weeks, and 4 days into the life of -1-247, a comparatively large asteroid struck the ground inside SCP-3044, wiping out all the observable life within and leaving a deep crater into which the remaining liquids poured. A review of the recorded video footage shows the meteor materializing from the inside edge of SCP-3044, heading directly towards the center of the landmass. This is the first time an event such as this has been observed. It is also worth noting that despite the apparent force of this impact, SCP-3044 itself was undamaged. -1-256, there's a lot of observations happening here. Like, over 250, that's crazy. Carbon, aluminum, and copper make up the bulk of the soil, and the previously observed exotic matter was present in a large amounts. Atmosphere of mainly nitrogen and lakes of liquid methane also contain traces of exotic matter. Observations: signs of life appeared 9 hours after instantiation and evolved incredibly quickly and unusually directly into a race of quadrupedal mammals that rapidly began displaying signs of sapience. Less than 24 hours after the creation of -1-256, the life forms within had already begun building structures and using tools, and 6 hours after that began showing signs of developing technology. The fact that it happens multiple times, that like sapient sentient life forms grow in this bottle, and some of them even, like, you know, might want to explore outside the bottle, is kind of, it's kind of interesting. Also a little bit terrifying. Like, what if they ever come out and actually can also breach the containment that they're in, you know? And then they just leave. And then, like, there's a flash event happening and those guys are too far away, so they will not get sucked back in. They continue to progress at an incredibly advanced rate until approximately 36 hours after instantiation. They began building a large structure which reached to the center of SCP-3044, on top of which was a large bulb-like object. The bulb flashed a number of times in a constantly repeating pattern until a flash event occurred 47 minutes later. Later analysis revealed the flash to be Morse code and translated to help. Repeated over and over. Oh my god. What a turn. It is currently unknown how the lifeforms learned Morse code, or how they were aware that there was anyone to communicate with outside of SCP-3044. Samples of the exotic matter disappeared at the time of the flash event, as with the previous cases. Lifeforms in the future instances of -1 that begin to show sapience, along with any instance containing any form of exotic matter, are now to be reported immediately to the site director. Oh my god. And that's how it ends? Jesus. Oh, that would put it into, that puts a whole different perspective in the moment they, like, you know, call out for help while being inside a bottle. Makes you realize, like, oh, how many of the observed life forms actually were aware of things happening but couldn't communicate to the to this foundation and be like, hey guys, please get us out of here. We're in deep shit. We don't want to be here. We're stuck. For some reason, SCP-3044 reminds me of SCP-1341, known as Jungle in the Jaw. Yeah, very similar. Except that this one like resets after a certain amount of time, and like every environment inside the bottle is like vastly different than what. There's some that are similar to Earth, but it's vastly different. Ooh. That's gonna be a fun thumbnail to make, I'm pretty sure. Like, just get like a bottle, make it big, put some nature in there, change the look of the nature a little bit, maybe like make the trees blue or something like that. And then, yeah, we got it. Alright, I have to go to the bathroom real quick. We are at the halfway point. So I shouldn't have SCP-3044 bottle as a decoration at home then. You could, but like, who knows if something like eventually will manage to escape out of it. And then you have to deal with that. You have to deal with that. Alright, be right back guys, go in the bathroom.